We need to add a new CLOB column to an existing table, but that CLOB needs to be backfilled with a static value. What is the best way to do this? Let's look at this little demo and we'll see how we go. So how do we backfill data in a CLOB? So I'm going to create a table here. It's 12 copies of DBA objects. It could be a lot more, but when we add zoom into the equation here and video recording, then what will probably happen is it'll slow down my demo. So I chose 12 to hopefully keep the demos not too expensive. For several versions now, if you want to add a new column to a table and you want it to be not null and you want to have it a value, which suggests that you would have to go back and back populate every single column or every single row, it's instantaneous. And the reason that works is we do it with a dictionary hack now. We simply set a flag in the dictionary saying, oh yes, this column's there, and please, whenever you query it, go get its default value and assume it was always present. Even though it's not null and we want to backfill it, the database can do it with a little bit of trickery. So can we do the same thing with a CLOB? Well, the answer is unfortunately no. As you can see here, I'm doing the exact same thing, but as I add the CLOB, it takes a long time. This is why I only did 12 copies of DBA objects. Now, what's going on here? The main problem is a CLOB generally requires additional structures sitting under the database. In this case, it wouldn't, because the CLOB is so small, it would be stored in line. But typically, if you're adding a large CLOB, what's going to happen is we have to build the LOB structure, the log segment, and the LOB indexes underneath and pin all that information to it. So we haven't implemented a fast default operation, add operation for CLOBs, and I don't think we probably will, simply because of the management involved. As you can see, it took 15 seconds. It only took 1.3 seconds to create the table, but as you can see, we've obviously had a long, significant pass through all the data. Let's now add a simple varchar2 column. And this is a slight departure from the CLOB briefly. Let's add a varchar2 column once again with the default without not null. And that's instantaneous as well, because we don't have to go backfill the data. Here's my list of table columns. Column 1X, that was the simple value from DBA objects that I connect from Joule. The rest is a few columns from DBA objects. And we've got CLOBs. Column 1, which is varchar2, column 2 a CLOB, and column 3 is the one we just added. That's default without a not null. But if we go look at user tab cols, one thing that's worth noting is if you do just go add a column with a default into the database, if it's not marked as not null, the database stores some hidden information, which I don't understand why we actually do this, but my assumption is it's being stored in there to indicate effectively at some point in time where which columns do have this value and which columns don't, etc. I'm not entirely sure, but we do, one of the implementation details is we add a hidden column, and you can see it's sysnc and it's column number 10, and it's stored in the 10th place. The exposed columns still say 1 to 10, but this is a hidden column. So we actually have 11 columns in the table and 10 of them are visible to you. Now, why is that significant? Well, if we go look at that column, we can see it's hidden. It's a raw column. And I think it's more just its presence there that is indicative of something, because if I query it, there's no data in it. There's nothing in it, but its presence obviously is some special marker in the data dictionary that indicates the fact that we've added a column that's not null, that has a default. But what that does mean though, if you do have added a column to a table with a default that is nullable, let's say I've got a partition table, which is an exact copy of that table called T I've just got. It's partition, but it's an exact copy. Everything's, the structure's the same. If I try to do an exchange partition with tpar and t, which as we saw here, effectively identical, it doesn't work. And that's because when I created tpar, it didn't pick up that hidden column. You may remember from 12.2, we added this create table for exchange command to solve this issue. But it's worth noting that just the fact of adding a column that's nullable with a default will add a hidden column to your table. And that implies things like you have to be careful when you're dealing with partitioning, etc. Let me return back to our CLOB. So as we saw, it took a long, long time to add a CLOB with a default that's not null to our table. What if I try adding it with a default without not null? So this column is actually nullable now. So it's only going to be future columns that need to do that. Even that is going to take our 15 seconds. The act of adding a CLOB with a default, even though we're not actually back populating the data, still does this enormous amount of work. So it's important to realize that even with a default of nullable, it's going to take a long time to do. So it seems we're stuck trying to do heavy duty maintenance with CLOBs. Let me compute statistics now and see why things are perhaps even worse than we think. Now, you might be thinking, why aren't I using DBMS stats? The reason I'm using compute statistics is I want to see the chain count on the table. And we can see that in this table, the act of adding CLOBs, either the not null one or this one, has literally chained almost a big, huge chunk of the rows. 500,000 rows are chained. So adding CLOBs to a table, whether they're default with not null or default of null, you're going to have this problem here. Here's a mechanism that might be useful in terms of how to add CLOBs or modify CLOBs on a table and keeping the downtime low. The resource cost is high, but the downtime should be low. I can add a CLOB without a default, and that's instantaneous. That's no cost. I can then modify that CLOB to have a default that picks up all new values, and that's instantaneous as well. One of the cool things that came in with DBMS redefinition a long time ago, well, I say a long time ago, I think maybe 18, was it's not just now for redefining tables. If I want to execute a large update, I have this DBMS redefinition, execute update. I simply pass in my update statement. And you think, well, what's the benefit here? It's just running update. It's not. It's actually doing what DBMS redefinition does when you change a table. It's creating a copy of the table, but using this update as a way of, invisibly and behind the scenes, using its column mapping feature to do the update as it creates this new version of the table. It's doing some journaling to keep track of changes. So this table is aptly updatable and active for transactions while this is going on. And then it completes. So this is the resource expensive part. It's going to burn up a lot of resource. It's going to take a long time because we're actually creating a copy of the table to effectively apply this update. But that's generally going to be far more efficient than just doing a genuine update. Create table as select is very, very efficient. Now that I've done that, now I can make it not null with no validate, which means from now on, all new changes cannot be nullable. So effectively, I'm getting that extra step closer. Now I need to make sure that that constraint is actually validated as well, because the database needs to know that a constraint has been validated in order to take care of certain optimizations. With the CLOB, it's probably not such a big deal. You could probably skip this last step, but let's put it in there anyway. So I can go find the name of the constraint that is C5 is not null. That's the name of the constraint. I've stored it in the value called cons, and then I can do alter table modify cons enable validate. The reason I did this as a not null no validate first and then enable validate is that's instantaneous, but does take a lock. This one does not lock the table. You can do enable validate on a constraint and the table stays open for business. So what I've got now is effectively I've added a CLOB. I've done a large update on those CLOBs. It's now got a default value. It's not null. And the whole time, the only downtimes were little tiny locking operations. This part here was done with the table available to users. And because it was done under the scenes as a create a new copy of the object, if I come do compute statistics now, even though I added a CLOB and I back populated it, there's no chained rows because I took a new copy of the data. So hopefully that helps when it comes to CLOB maintenance.